Hi everyone, welcome to a new live game and analysis. So what that basically means is I'm gonna start a game right now. I'm gonna do my best to play well, to win. I'm gonna walk you through what I'm thinking about, so try to think out loud and hopefully we'll both learn something. There's also gonna be an analysis section at the end, so feel free to skip right over that if that's more of your thing. And if you enjoy this kind of format, I do this kind of stuff live on Twitch all the time, so check that out as well. Let's get started. So here we go. I'm going to play a 10 plus 5, which I think is a pretty good time control. Like it's not too slow, but obviously it's not fast enough that I wouldn't have time to, first of all, think about the moves, but also kind of like think out loud about what I'm playing. And we wouldn't really want to have a situation where we ruin a game because we're too low on time. Um, Okay, let's hope we find a pairing soon. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to do some freestyle improv slash stand-up comedy while I'm filming this and then spiral over whether I should just edit this part out or not. So come on, leeches, give me something. I'm not very good at editing, so if you don't give me a pairing soon and I have to cut this part out, you're gonna make the video making process much longer. Um, okay, that's not happening. That's not happening. I think 10 plus 5 is like among the least popular time controls on the internet for some reason. Like this is quite a common occurrence for me to not find the pairing in 10 plus 5. 10 plus 0 not so much, but 10 plus 5 I think people they just don't like playing this kind of slow stuff in on the internet, you know. Which is a bit of a shame. Obviously I get it. I'm a Blitz and Bullet fan myself, but um I think playing this kind of time controls, especially if you don't have the opportunity to play over the board often, is really crucial to getting better because otherwise, um, when you're analyzing shorter time controls, a lot of what happens in the game is drawn from the fact that you're low on time. So you're trying to learn from your mistake. Finally, ooh, and we're playing 2393 with a question mark. Um, Here we go. We have the black pieces. I know I didn't finish my previous sentence, but I got so excited that we finally got a bearing that, yeah, I kind of forgot what I was saying. Oh, no, I remember. What I was saying is that it's crucial for you to analyze your games, but then you end up playing fast time control. So a lot of the analysis is just like, yeah, here I had 2 seconds, so I blundered my knight. Not that much to learn from that. Ooh, okay. And white is playing kind of a sideline against the French defense. So this is the Kia attack or the King's Indian attack, which is something that I have played myself with white. And it's always a little bit uncomfortable to face something that you always also play as the opposite color, but we're gonna try. So let me go d5. Now white usually goes for knight d2. So the point of that is if we take, they can take back with the pawn without allowing a queen's trade. And let's go knight f6, and usually knight f3 or g3 are white's moves here. And I'm gonna go for this setup with knight to c6, which is a setup that I've lost against quite a lot on the internet. So trying to learn from from my past mistakes. So the point of knight c6 is when white commits to g3, basically saying, hey, I'm good on fianchetto. Now we take on e4, and when they take back with the pawn, we play e5 and we kind of swap the pawn structure. So white was expecting a typical French defense pawn structure, but we are actually swapping into a more of an e5 kind of situation without d pawns. But then white has played g3, and basically now they have a tough choice to make. Do they still fianchetto, but then the bishop is kind of blocked in there, or do they go for bishop e2 or bishop c4 and virtually admit that g3 is just a move that they can't take back, but that it doesn't really fit with the position. And actually, yeah, this is the correct call. So it is actually better for white to not go with the bishop on g2. And I have actually never faced this. Like literally every single person that I've played against, not that there were that many because the system is not that common, but I have never faced this. So I am in completely new territory here. One thing that I'm noticing is the pawn on f7. So maybe knight g5 is part of their idea. And I think what we would have wanted was maybe to play bishop h3 to prevent them from castling. But I think that immediately falls for bishop takes f7 check, followed by knight g5, and we lose a pawn. So probably we should just play bishop c5 here and just be chill. And if knight g5, we short castle and we guard the f7 pawn this way. Yeah, it is a bit of a shame that we can't immediately exploit the g3 move via bishop h3, but there's gonna be future opportunities, I hope. And yeah, I'm guessing white is gonna short castle here. We're also gonna short castle. We can play a5. So yeah, I think we can short castle as well. We could go bishop h3. Maybe we could have gone that and then rook e1, knight g4 immediately. That actually seemed pretty unpleasant. Did I just rush? I guess that's something for us to discover during analysis because yeah, I think it would be affecting morale here if I discovered that I could have just gone bishop h3 and knight g4. Okay, now they did king g2, so clearly white saw the idea. Yeah, I'm gonna pretend like we didn't just miss something important. Let's keep carry on. So bishop g4 is possible, a5 is possible. A5 was just like grabbing some space on the queen side, maybe giving some space for the bishop to retreat into. Um, and yeah, I think developing makes sense here. And if they play h3, we can just drop back with the bishop on h5. And if they go g4, then we can argue, okay, you chased away my bishop, but you also maybe weakened your king. That's the sort of argument that I'm trying to make. And a typical move for white here is c3 to control the d4 square so that we don't have any knight d4 ideas. Okay, they did h3, so now let's drop back with the bishop. And yeah, hopefully if they go for g4, we will be able to make a strong case for white being a bit weak around the king. Like already bishop g6, we are threatening this pawn. Okay, they did c3, so we kind of predicted that, and now I think a5 rolls in quite nicely. So we are preventing b4, we are grabbing some space, we are making some room for the bishop to retreat. They did a4, okay. Now rook e8 is probably a move. Yeah, rook e8. We're playing healthy moves. We're gonna maybe get the queen out of here. Um, and let's see what white does as well. So rook e1. Okay, we are in a pretty symmetrical battle. I guess knight versus pawn is the biggest asymmetry here. Um, okay, so queen d7, rook d8, just a bit boring but typical stuff. Um, yeah, let's go queen d7. And since we kind of have a slight momentum on the d file because the knight is here, it wouldn't be bad for us to try to, gain control of the d file. Okay, so queen b3 keeps an eye out on f7, but that's not really a problem. It unpins, so that's, yeah, good for white. And they are threatening on b7, but I don't actually think they can take. Like, queen takes b7, rook e to b8 is trapping the queen. So if anything, maybe we want to bait white into going for that move. It's just that what are we doing in the meantime? Like during what do we bait them with is the problem. Like what's a useful move that we could play here? Because obviously we could also just guard the pawn with bishop back to b6, right? Um, we could try to play rook b8 and maybe prep b5. Even though we would first need to move the knight out of there. Um, what to do? What to do? Um, Okay, let's try to bait them with h6. So h6 is a useful move because, we're going to have some space for the king. We maybe can shelter the bishop if it ever needs to. And yeah, I'm not ashamed to say it. I am hoping that they will fall for this. And they didn't. Okay, they moved the knight. Now we could win a pawn, I think. I guess they will take on b7 in return, but that looks like this pawn on b7 should not be worth as much as the one on h3, given that they are kind of stuck with the king on f3. Like I wouldn't even be surprised if like queen h1 or queen g4 and then we start an attack. Yeah, I don't know. Like that doesn't sound like something that I should be worried about. Like them being with the king on f3 and winning the b7 pawn. So I'm really tempted to just go for it. And yeah. Oh, I forgot about this. I forgot about this. See, this is what happens when you fall for something that seems maybe just a little bit too good to be true. But let's still calculate it. Maybe we can actually allow it. So, takes. King to the corner, bishop takes the rook. If we go queen g4, they drop back with the king to g2. Uh, we could try to do a bunch of things, but I'm not seeing anything very direct, and then we would need to take that bishop back from e8 eventually. What else? So takes, king to the corner, takes the rook, queen h1, king e2 is forced. Bishop takes sorry, queen takes e4 check. Uh, but then they just kind of block with knight e3. Okay, this is very disappointing because obviously if we protect the pawn, then the king drops back and okay, it's not terrible, but I wouldn't necessarily have rushed into bishop takes f3 if I had, given it a little bit more thought. Um so queen takes h3, bishop takes f7, king to the corner, they take the rook. We just drop back and argue that we have compensation without allowing the king to move out of f3. But the problem that I have with that is that maybe the king just wants to shelter on e2. And if we do something like king g4, the king runs and hides. Um, Freaking king. Should we risk it? Should we not? Um, it's kind of hard to make this kind of decision. And I think practically speaking, we probably should not risk it. Just in the sense that, during a game, you wouldn't just be like, oh, let me sack an exchange out of vibes. Um, or would you? Or would you? Okay, honestly, let's give it a try. Let's see what happens. So we're going down this weird, crazy ride together, and we're gonna have plenty of time to kind of review what happened in the analysis phase. So let's just be chill. Take the bishop back. Kind of annoying that now they have this queen takes b7 and the knight is attacked. I did not want to waste time um guarding that pawn. Okay, they did bishop e3. They're offering a trade. Now we could win a subsequent pawn like this. Um, we could not trade, but that seems passive. Let's give this check. Now let's give this other check is what I want to say. No, because then they have f3, and wherever we move the queen, we drop the bishop. Uh, I'm starting to have second thoughts about this whole operation. Okay, let's take the bishop. And now after rook e3, a move that I would like is knight h5. Okay, they took with the knight. So now let's take this pawn with check. Now they did f3. Okay. So where do we drop back with the queen? I think g6 is pretty much the only option because queen d3, they hit us with rook d1. So queen g6, and we are hoping to get some knight h5 involved. And then maybe transfer it to f4, maybe take on g3. Queen takes b7 at least can be met with queen h5 because the queen also guards the knight on c6. Oof, I took quite the risk there. I don't know if it's gonna be the most instructive game, but we'll see. Sometimes it's just so nice to be creative. Um, But okay, what is white gonna do here? I guess maybe slide the king to f2 is possible for them to try to unpin. And when we go knight h5, maybe they go rook g1 to try to guard. Um, in which case maybe we play e4 to try to open up the f file. And if they play f4, um, then I don't know. Maybe queen g4, not that's not possible. Maybe rook f8 to try to sacrifice. Um, what else? King f2, e4 immediately, but they still push f4, I think. So whenever you are thinking of pushing a pawn forward with the intent of opening up that file that your pawn is on, you have to remind yourself, and I'm speaking for myself as well, that the opponent oftentimes doesn't have to take you. In fact, they are almost always more incentivized to pass you, and you should try to avoid falling for this trap where you're thinking, oh, but I just push there and I open up the position, but then actually they just don't let you open up. Okay, so now they did queen c4 and they are trying to transfer the queen. So what they're saying is probably if we go knight h5, they go queen g4. And I think now actually it makes a lot of sense to play e4 to cut off their idea. And if they take with the pawn, we take with the rook. But like I said, they are most likely gonna just play f4. But now f4 comes with more momentum. Sorry, knight h5 comes with more momentum because we are threatening queen g3, we are threatening knight takes f4. So yeah, let's see how our opponent copes with this. Now the knight is also available to jump into e5 if they don't play f4. So I think compared to king f2, queen c4 maybe allowed us to get e4 with better circumstances. But let's see. Let's not get excited, or let's not get too excited just yet. So if they take, we take with the rook. Where do they move the queen? Let's say they drop back to e2. Okay, they did f4. So now I want to go knight h5. I want to go knight h5. Let's do it. Knight h5. We're hitting this, we're hitting that. How are they coping? Knight f1. Okay. So now let's take the pawn and we can think about the rest later. King f2. Now knight d3 invites a beautiful fork. Um, do we have something better? I have to believe that we do, but I also think that if we first take the exchange, then the resulting position should still be better for us. So especially since we are kind of low on time, I think it makes sense to just recuperate some of the material, to just recover some of the material, and then we can keep playing this position where we should still be better because the king should still be weak. Um, but let's see. Here, I like rook f8, rook f2 with the idea of getting mate like this. That would be kind of nice. But rook f8, rook e2, maybe that's how they defend. Um, or what about queen f5 trying to infiltrate this way? No, rook f8 makes more sense because we need the queen to hit on h5. But rook f8, rook e2. Let's say queen h5. They move the rook. We have queen f3 check. I'm kind of doing what I said I wouldn't do. So let's pick up the material. Let's pick up the material. E4 is protected, and now let's try to infiltrate. We can't play knight e5 because they take, so that we should be careful about. Uh, but I think a nice move here is queen f5, and we are thinking of getting to f3. And if they drop back with a queen, then well, actually we'll see. I was gonna say knight e5, but it's actually the same problem. Um, the same problem. Okay, queen e2. Um, if we were to push, they take, we check, they slide over. Um, how should we break through here? Honestly, I kind of like the idea of just sacking this pawn. We're 2 pawns up after all, but the reason I like it is because we are inviting this knight to take in here, but we are actually inviting it into a pin. And this way, I can bring knight e5 without having to worry that, oh, they're going to take on e4 and there's going to be a trade and I'm going to be pinned and blah, blah. So even though this seems like a free pawn, I do think that there is some value to be gained from the pin over the e file. And also, I think white is gonna have to burn through a bunch of time in order to decide if they want to take the pawn or not. Which is good because we don't have that much time. Okay, queen f3. We could give this check, but then they block with the rook. We could trade and play the endgame, and we are a pawn up in the endgame. To be fair, I don't know if that would make things the easiest for us, but okay, we're low on time, so let's do it. Now I like 95 because if they take the pawn, we're going to have knight c4 check, and if they drop back here, we trade and we win here and we win there, and then that's just completely winning. So they can't actually take this pawn, but then we're going to put the knight on c4, we're going to hit b2, and I think we should have a pretty promising position because we're 2 pawns up. So when we lose e3, we should be able to get a trade out of it. I think 93 actually also fulfills the same purpose. So maybe I want to go 93 instead to hit this pawn. Rook e2. Too bad we don't have knight f4. Now we could go knight c1, but then they go rook e2. We push. They move the knight out of here. No, we push, they take. No, because then we queen. So we push, they move the knight out of here, and the knight back to d3. That maybe works. That maybe works. Now, of course, they can take. But now we are back to this endgame that I think we should be winning. Hopefully, I'm no Magnus Carlsen when it comes to winning this kind of endgames, but I think we have a pretty decent chance. So a5 is hanging, so let's go b6. And I'm planning to go knight c5 next. It's actually going to be pretty hard for them to meet knight c5. b3, but then steal knight c5, and b4 we trade and we take. And yeah, we should. Oh, 92. I forgot about that. Oopsie. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. We don't have 94. Let's start by bringing the king in this case. So now the knight is fixated to staying where it is, so we can start bringing the king. King e3. Yeah, let's keep on bringing the king. Maybe we're even gonna walk it there. King d4, still not threatening anything. Is he gonna actually try to get there with the king? I didn't consider that much. I think I should be faster though, but maybe I should start getting these pawns running. Yeah, let's go for like h5 or g5 or something. Um, maybe h5 and g5 coming next. Yeah, that was a bit of a strange moment. I think I didn't need to walk the king to f5. I think I could have kept it on e6, kind of stay in between the two worlds and be ready to swap one way or the other. Okay, king back to e3. So now we can get an outside passed pawn with h4. Okay. So we're going to use the king and the pawn to try to get that going, see how far we make it. Okay, now we kind of actually could use a tempo here. Um we could use a tempo here, but I think king g5 should be fine. Now if they go knight e4, it's just completely losing, right? And if they go king g2, then we keep on infiltrating with the king not there, sorry, here. And at some point, something's got to give, right? So we have a weakness that we're targeting on b3. We have another weakness, of course, strength for us, but weakness in the sense that our opponent has to spend time and resources defending it. They're quite far away from each other. And now I think this is just kind of a desperation act. We win here. We're going to get c5 as a second passer. And yeah, we just need to be careful. We just need to be careful. Knight to c4. Let's bring this knight back into the game as well. So maybe we want to go back here and target this pawn. I didn't rush into playing c5 just yet because we're gonna get there, but the knight on e4 wasn't very well placed. knight e5. So now let's go knight to d5. We're hitting this pawn. And they've kind of made it impossible for themselves to guard without dropping back the knight. Um, okay, now once again, we could use a tempo here. Uh, and that tempo, I think, is king f5. So if the king goes this way, we can try to hit the knight. The knight moves, we take the b4 pawn, and yeah, okay, we lose the h pawn, but then our king, knight, and two pawns should be unstoppable on this side of the board. And if they drop back this way, then we make some progress with the h pawn. Knight back to e1. Okay, it's time for us to win this pawn, right? And okay, maybe they're gonna go knight g2. Fair. Let's go h3. I think knight g2 was actually, oh, okay, they have this check, fine. Let's go king e5. So now we are shifting our attention towards this side of the board. And they resigned. Okay, that's convenient. I was actually kind of looking forward to the remaining part of the game because it was gonna be like nice and slow and just like building towards something. But okay, well played to my opponent. They did drop a bunch of rating. I guess that's the problem when you have a question mark rating. But okay, I hope you enjoyed the game. Let's have a look at the analysis because I am very, very, very curious to see what the heck went on in that game. Did we have bishop h3 and I missed it? Was the sacrifice good? Yeah, let's go find out. Okay, let's get into analyzing. So I changed the layout a little bit so you should now see the eval bar on the right. Obviously, we are using the eval bar to try to, guide our understanding of a position. So we are trying to, translate the score of the eval bar into words and into concepts that we can understand and that we can actually leverage to get better. And there are probably going to be some lines where we are gonna start analyzing and we're gonna be like, wait, what if we do this? And then the computer is like that, and then we say this, and the computer says that. So my point with this very vague explanation is that not every single line of the computer can be translated into valuable knowledge for us because sometimes the computer just have very specific, very concrete explanations and variations for certain situations that you either find or you don't. So we're gonna take everything with a grain of salt. We're gonna go into the lines that I feel we have something to gain from and not like check every single thing along the way. So let's get started. I'm also going to open book just to get an idea of what was going on in the opening. So we have the 3 d5, knight d2, knight f6, knight f3, knight c6, which is the second most played move in this position. So apparently the number one most played move here is b6, which is strange. I would have thought it was bishop e7. That's definitely the one that I faced the most while playing white. But okay, knight c6. They did g3. We took on e4. So far we are following the line. And apparently here people start with bishop c5, and only then do they do e5. But is that a big difference? So we did e5. And now white went bishop to c4, which is not very common. So much more common is bishop to g2 or c3 to just wait with this bishop, or bishop to b5. Okay, instead we have bishop g4, and we did bishop to c5, sorry, bishop c4, bishop c5. Now short castling, and it seems that bishop h3 was not a move here. Oh yeah, it wasn't a move because of the same reason, which was this knight g5. It's like I forgot why I didn't want to play bishop h3 the move afterwards. Yeah, so we can't go bishop h3 because there's bishop takes f7, and computer doesn't think this is catastrophic just because you're supposed to play king e7 here, so like not allow this. And then when the bishop drops back, it seems like you can't even win the exchange, or you can, but white is better. It is maybe similar to the exchange sacrifice that we did during the game where um white just ended up with a pretty bad king, except this time it's the black king that is kind of bad. But okay, interesting. So instead we short castled, which is normal. So we are still following two games in the Lichess database. They went king to g2, we went bishop g4, h3, bishop h5, c3, a5, so far so good. a4, rook e8, rook e1, queen d7, queen to b3. And here, the best move is actually h6 for us, which is kind of awesome. Because yeah, remember the whole thing that we were trying to do, which was to find the useful move. Um, yeah, h6 was a useful move. And now knight f1 is a blunder. And it's a blunder for some reason that we did not consider at all. And this is very interesting. So I got so tunnel visioned by the fact that we have this idea, and then I got into overthinking about what happens after bishop takes f7, that I didn't stop to consider that there might be other moves in this position at all. I do admit, however, that this seems like a pretty hardcore tactic to find. So if you want, pause the video and see if you can find what black should have done in this position instead of what I did, bishop takes f3, and instead of what I was considering, which was rook f8 or rook e7. So the move here is knight takes e4. And if the rook takes, now you take on f3, and now you have queen f5 check, and the rook is lost. And when the king goes wherever, you don't even take the rook. Excuse me, you don't even take the rook, you take this pawn, because you can take it now, which is just beautiful, except the rook e2, but then you take the knight because the bishop no longer guards the knight. So wow, this is a really beautiful tactical pattern. The only thing that I'm wondering is what if they take here now? Oh, and we take with the bishop, and the bishop attacks the queen, so they don't have time to take the rook, to take the knight with the rook. Like what I was thinking is, what if now they take? And of course, if the queen hadn't been hanging, so let's have this position. Well, black is still winning because I put a random move. But I guess what I was trying to say is, what if they try to deflect the bishop and then they take the rook? But then that doesn't work because the bishop is hitting the queen. So yeah, knight takes e4. It didn't cross my mind. And yeah, this was pure tunnel vision. I saw an idea. I wanted to make it work. It was still good though. So it's still -2, provided you still play knight takes e4 here, which is crazy because if the king steps in, you're like, okay, yeah, obviously, king in the middle of the board, that can't be good, but what do you play? Like, what do you play? You don't have any checks. You play knight to d4. Like, what? And if the pawn takes, now you take with the king. The king has to step back. I'm guessing it's gonna get brutally mated if it comes in here. Uh, in a pretty epic way, actually. Um, and if the king goes back, now we take on f2, and you bring the rook and you mate white in the middle of the board. Like that's just beautiful. And if the king goes to g4, check here, check, takes, and this leads to checkmate. Okay, this is the kind of stuff that maybe you could calculate and have a great intuition around in a classical game, provided you had considered knight takes e4. So knight takes e4, we are introducing a new tactical concept to our chess vocabulary, because yeah, this didn't cross my mind, but it is a very cool idea. Instead we did queen takes h3, which was a pretty good idea. Can you believe that my exchange sack based on vibes worked? And okay, I'm saying vibes, but and you saw the live game, it was vibes. But what do I mean by vibes? It was also a little bit of, well, the king is weak, we have piece activity, we do have the possibility to get back a pawn. As in, I did feel like I had compensation, even though it was hard to point out directly to the lines that I was gonna follow up with. And this is one of the hardest type of sacrifices to make, I feel like, when they are not purely tactical, in the sense that you don't see the whole like continuation of moves from the beginning, because then it's easy. You saw the whole thing, so you sack because you know it works. But there are some specific, like, tactics, but there is also like the positional element of, the white king being weak, the rook on a1 being undeveloped. Yeah, this is, I don't know, this is Sindarov stuff, man. Wannabe Sindarov, obviously. um because like I said, my decision was very vibes based. But if you remember Sindarov playing, for example, his first game against Prague in the candidates, he had one of the sacrifices where he only got his material back like 10 moves later, but the position kept on being in his favor because of the tactical and positional compensation that that sacrifice was bringing. Anyway, yeah, I realized I just compared myself to Sindarov. Crazy, crazy audacity for me. I apologize. Let's move on. So bishop takes f7, king sided in the corner, bishop takes, rook takes, bishop e3, and here is where the Sindarov analogy ends because I blundered. And it is now in hindsight, it is kind of obvious why this is a blunder. So I played queen to g4, and the problem with this is that it allows the king to shelter. It's easy as that. It allows the king to shelter, and this king is much, much better on g2 than on f3. So what was I actually supposed to do here? Go for this, king e2, now take the pawn. And yeah, okay, the knight guards the bishop, which I guess I didn't really consider during the game. And then this position, what I was afraid of was that the queen is hanging. So okay, the queen has to move first. Or can the king just start walking? No, because we have this and that. And just generally see like so many specific things that you just kind of have to trust that you will find once you are in this position. And then if they trade first and then the queen just moves, like let's say the queen moves here, and now the knight returns, and if the king tries to make a run for it, now we have check, the queen blocks, but knight takes f2. So the king runs and you still win this pawn, and black is actually gathering a bunch of pawns in return for the exchange. But yeah, this is once again very, very complicated. Like the king kind of shelters, but the white position is still disorganized. um but I think what is important here is that as a principle, Queen G4 is bad. Even, without seeing any of this stuff. It's just the fact that it's allowing the king to shelter, and this improves White's position so much more. So we had trades, and now White is just better. We took the pawn, they did f3, which was not ideal. They could have just gone back with the king, no need to weaken themselves further. We drop back with the queen. We still have a lot of compensation, so it's plus 0.2. Um, they did queen to c4, which was a blunder, and it was a blunder because of the beautiful e4. So I'm actually really pleased with this because we played it quite quickly as well. Like e4, just the intuition was there. And what was I considering during the game? I was considering king f2 for them, which apparently is also horrible, also because of e4. But after f4, we go queen h5 to try to infiltrate through here. And it's kind of funny that I had this idea, but I had it in a dumb way where I was like, queen g4, oh no, the queen is blundered, we cannot go for the infiltration anymore. I kind of feel like I would have played e4 anyway, but much less convincingly, because I did think that e4 f4 was much better for white than in the version that they got in the game. So e4, brutal. They did f4. We went knight h5, and from here things kind of started going our way. So we took the pawn, and mistake, mistake. And to be fair, I was saying during the game that I would expect to be able to have much more in this position. I just wasn't clear on what. And apparently 95 bringing the last piece into the game is what we needed here, and they can't take because now we have this discover check. And what do they do? Like, no, this knight is going into f3. Let's say they have nothing. Let's say they move the rook this way. Oh, sorry, the queen is hanging. Once again, I keep blundering white's queen for some reason. So yeah, it's actually kind of silly that I didn't go for this because it hits the queen, and then we can still go 93. Maybe I thought that they had this. I don't know. I just think I got comfortable. I was like, okay, we're winning, so let's take the rook, which we did, which was also not great. And apparently queen f5 to infiltrate. And if you remember, we considered this as well. So if anything, I did not beat my opponent hard enough in this game. Like, I was doubting myself so much. And of course, it's easy to see it now, but um yeah, we took the rook. We're still doing pretty good. Queen f5, queen e2. E3 was great, so I'm happy that e3 was good. And here they decided to go for this, and we went for the end game. We went 93, rook e2, 91. Apparently, oh, we could have just taken here. It is almost midnight here. I'm sorry. But of course, that if my point was let me try to to deflect this rook, or let me try to dislodge this rook from e2 so that I can push, then why not do it with knight takes b2? And the point is that when the rook takes, the pawn pushes, and we're promoting. We don't care about taking the piece back, so they have to give up the exchange, and this is just absolutely losing. Absolutely hopeless. Knight c1, so we still keep the advantage. They traded, and now we have the end game. And I really, really, really hope that we never messed up this end game. I don't think we did, but it would be kind of a shame for a pretty interesting and beautiful game to go down, or to almost have been a draw from negligent playing. But I don't think it was the case. So knight c4, b6, b3, knight c5, knight d2, king g8, we are bringing the king, and king f5 was kind of weird. So remember that I did call it during the game that maybe this is unnecessarily allowing king d5, and what computer is saying here is go for h5. The thing is that if they tried the infiltration, we do have knight e6, which I did see, and then we can start getting, we can get started on the king side. But it just felt a bit unnecessary. They went king e3. Now we did h5. Now we did g5. Now we did h4. So we created an outside passer. We stayed with the king. We went for this. That wasn't really forced from our opponent, but it was kind of hard for them to make a move because of the king infiltration. Now they came with the knight. We brought back the knight. Now we took the pawn. And this is GG. And this GG because king, 2 pawns. Yeah, you just got to be a little bit careful. Obviously, the only thing that could happen would be to allow the knight to exchange itself for both pawns, which seems pretty unlikely given that the white king has to first walk itself all the way to the h file and then make it back to the king side. And of course, we're just not gonna allow that. So yeah, that was the game. Very interesting. Much more coherent than it felt while playing it. I guess that's always the case. I feel like you, or at least I always find things more chaotic as I'm playing, and then I am analyzing it. It's like, yeah, of course this happened, or of course I was better, or of course, um, but hindsight is 2020. Is that the saying? It was there was a saying that was like hindsight is something. um but yeah, but it's still important to analyze your game. So this is one of the things that I stress the most. Maybe you don't always have time to like actually study from a chess book, or study chess end games, or hire a coach or whatever. These are all like time consuming and committing things, but we all love playing. So analyzing afterwards, even a quick like 5 minutes review, can you can easily incorporate this in your routine. And I would say that from this game, I think the biggest takeaway would be to be much more skeptical of that kind of check that we gave the queen g4, the bringing the queen back and allowing the king to shelter. So there were many interesting moments, but I would say that the one kind of like general takeaway that I choose to take with me today is focusing more on not allowing the king to escape, not giving checks just for the sake of giving checks, if that just allows the opponent to find a better shelter for the king. And yeah, that's it for today. So like I said in the beginning, check out my Twitch channel. I do live rapid games quite a lot. And yeah, follow the channel if you liked what you saw. Leave a comment if you have any questions or anything that is on your mind. And take care of yourselves. Thank you for watching till the end, and I will see you next time.